Thank you, Madam President. Every February, we have the opportunity to recognize the central role that African Americans have played in our nation's history. Thanks to my friend in District I and a piece of legislation in a previous year, we celebrate Black History Month in Alaska as well. So I'd like to join her string of special orders this month and recognize the contributions of an Alaskan who made a great difference here in the capital city. The first African American elected to the Juneau Assembly, Ms. Rosalee Walker. Rosalee was born in Virginia. Her family had deeper American roots than most. Two of her great-grandparents were enslaved by General Robert E. Lee. Rosalee grew up in Baltimore. She was inspired early on to teach, and it's a career that she carried on throughout her life. She worked very hard through her years in the Baltimore public education system and quickly graduated both from Coppin Teachers College and Loyola University in Baltimore. Rosalee was always dedicated to the American promise of making our country a little more perfect. She was active in the civil rights movement. She marched with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Seeking other ventures in life, Rosalee and her husband, William Walker, packed their bags and they moved to the last frontier in 1966. Her commitment to the community and to a more perfect Alaska was evident for the rest of her life. She was a teacher at the Capitol School, which of course now is the Terry Miller Building, just behind you, Madam President, and an administrator in the Juneau School District. Rosalee believed very strongly that everyone needs a good education, and she lived that value. She taught at the Lemon Creek Correctional Center. She taught at the University of Alaska Southeast. She worked with Rural Cap in its early days to help found the Head Start program in Alaska. And in particular, she helped set up Head Start programs in small villages throughout our state, including a few memorable winter trips by dog sled to help out. Quite a step for a lady from Virginia and Baltimore. Rosalee also worked with city government in the 1970s to get the land for a child care facility here in the capital city. She also was a key player in getting the city bus system off the ground in the early 1970s. What she helped start with just a few minibuses is now unarguably the best bus service in the state of Alaska, with half-hour headways. My own children and I use those public buses to get around, and we are joined by a whole lot of Alaskans. Rosalee's commitment to justice and to opportunity for all led her to align with others who have very, very deep roots. She was a life member of the Alaska Native Sisterhood, Camp 2. Rosalee had just a list, an incredible list of accomplishments and of volunteer activities where she made a difference. She owned a nursery school. She was part of Blacks in Government. She was an advocate for seniors, including serving as president of AARP Alaska. She was a longtime volunteer at the Glory Hall, served on the Alaska Committee, was active with the Alaska Democratic Party, volunteered with the Boys and Girls Club of Alaska, and the National Senior Services Corps. Somewhere in there, she also held a day job at the Department of Education. Rosalee could tell a story, Madam President, and in the early days of the state office building, the Department of Education was one of the first departments to move in. There's some great video online that I encourage everyone to seek out of Rosalee Walker telling some stories of the early days of occupying the state office building, and some conversations she had with her commissioner, which would have gotten me fired if I'd had him with my commissioner when I worked at EED. Madam President, having moved local government from the community, Rosalee then went on to serve on the Juneau Assembly. She served the 9-year maximum allowed under the city charter from 1984 to 1993. During that time, she was active with the Alaska Municipal League as one of the few African American faces in Alaska government anywhere. Researching her accomplishments, I found a 1991, not sure what to call it, an atlas of African Americans in government across the country. It listed 3 names in Alaska: Representative Betty Davis, Councilmember Hayes in Fairbanks, and Rosalee Walker in Juneau. That was the sum total in 1991. I'm pleased to say, Madam President, that nowadays, by by the grace of the Alaska voters, that's a much longer list. In 2004, Rosalee Walker was honored for her services to both the University of Alaska and to education throughout our state by the University of Alaska Southeast with a Meritorious Service Award for her lifetime of work in education. She finished her days outside for medical reasons, but Rosalee Walker's mark on Alaska and on the capital city is indelible. Our families grow roots into richer soil for Rosalee Walker's many contributions to our state. Thank you, Madam President.